What could the biggest story in college football be this year? Take a look at what our buddy Bartu said. Dave Bartu said the Southeastern Conference, the year after they should have been shut out of the playoffs, get at least 3 teams in the Final Four. This is a troublemaker tweet. This is an agitation tweet. And it's going to work. I know it's going to work. So forget about this past year. The past is the past. We're going to a 12-team playoff this year. So Bartu is not saying the SEC will have 3 of the top 4 ranked teams in the playoff. I think that's impossible, actually, given the way the seeding works this year. We'll see about the future. But once we get in the playoff, then it's on. Then we're going to have that great experiment play out that we've all wondered about for so long, and that is if you expand the playoff, once the playoff happens, will seeding really matter, or will these power conferences see their, I don't even want to say it that way because that's a for sure immunity at my front door. Will the cream rise and just be labeled SEC Big Ten? Or maybe just SEC? So I had producer Jesse pull some odds for me, because this is what we have to go on in late January, early February. So our buddies at FanDuel, they do have national championship odds already up for the 2024/5 national championship game. 9 of the top 17 teams in the championship odds market right now are SEC teams. 3 of the top 4 are SEC teams. It goes Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, and then Oregon. LSU's there. Ole Miss. How about Ole Miss as a top 5, or top 10 rather, odds team? Yeah. So 12 of the top 25, if you look at the 24/7 Sports, there's a lot of numbers here. The 24/7 Sports composite team talent metric, which just tries to loosely gauge how talented the rosters are, 12 of the top 25 teams in that are SEC teams. So the top of these odds boards, the top of the team rankings, they're going to be littered with SEC teams. But can they really get 3 out of 4 in the semifinal? Well, yeah, they absolutely can. This wouldn't be a shocker to me. This is going to happen. Maybe not this year, but something like this is inevitable, right? The SEC just randomly having a year where they get 3 or maybe even 4 out of the Final 4, that's inevitable. That's going to happen at some point. That's not the question to me. The question to me that I'll sit back in the corner and laugh at is, what's the reaction going to be? Specifically from the expansionist crowd. What's the reaction going to be? Because I look, as I would look at a kid at Golden Corral, don't hate on Golden Corral. Don't you let me catch you hating on Golden Corral. And, on one hand, you got the kid, you got the little kid over here who's had a nice, balanced diet put in front of him for quite a while and gets dessert at the end, and that should be good enough. But then someone, somewhere along the way, told that kid he should just be able to get whatever he wants, and he pounded his hand on the table and said, I want dessert for every meal. And you know what? Since he wants it, he's 9 years old. He's old enough to think for himself. Just give him dessert every meal. And all of a sudden, he can't fit through the door frame, and he's 400 pounds before he's a sophomore in high school. And he looks and says, well, this isn't what I had in mind. I didn't know this would be the result. A lot of you want expanded playoff. And then you're going to have to sit there and embrace the reality of LSU versus Alabama over here and Georgia playing Oregon over there and high likelihood of an all-SEC championship game, and you're going to say, well, this isn't what we signed up for. An expanded playoff is supposed to give us more parity. And then that little chorus that a lot of you saying of, well, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. At least we'll have more representation in the playoff field. All of a sudden, that chorus will go silent because you'll realize, actually, every postseason in the history of humanity has been about the same thing. And that's crowning a champion. That's what they're all about. The only minor exception is the NCAA basketball tournament, which has a field of about 140 teams at this point. And yes, there are first-round matchups featuring teams that you know have likely no shot at winning the 4 or 5 games they need to win it all. But, you can have a 15 over a 2, and that's fun. That's where the comparison between basketball and football ends. This 12-team playoff is about crowning a champ. And there is no solace in, well, we locked down an 11 seed and got blown out by 30 at the hands of 9-3 LSU, but it's fun while it lasted. That won't last long. And so that's what I'll look forward to seeing, because I didn't want to be here, but we are here. Now just beware. This will rhyme. This is fortune cookie logic. This will rhyme, so it'll be easy. Meemaw used to tell me, Joshua, if they ever expand that playoff, beware the 9-3 SEC, because that's the most dangerous fin in the water. When we get into the expanded playoff era, you're going to have your precious 4 seed that won the AAC and somehow got a first-round bye because auto bid, and you got the 9-3 Tennessee fin out there just offshore, and no, they don't get home field advantage, and they don't get a first-round bye. But, buddy, they got Nico Iamaleava, and they got a top 10 talent roster any given year, and when they're put on the same field as you in a postseason setting, you're going to find that you aren't always what your record says you are. Now less than ever, you aren't always what your record says you are. So, hey, embrace the horror because it's here.